Hello everyone, so welcome back to our next session on strategic human resource management. So today let us discuss about strategic options and HR decisions. So the process of developing HR strategies involve generating strategic HRM options and then making appropriate strategic choices. It has been noted by many research scholars that the choice of practices that an employer pursues is heavily contingent on the number of factors at the organizational level. So it can be including their own businesses and production strategies or support of HR policies and cooperative labor relations and so on. The process of developing HR strategies involve the adoption of the contingent approach in generating strategic HRM options and then making appropriate strategic choices. So strategic options are creative, alternative, action-oriented response to the external situation that an organization or a group of organizations faces. Strategic option can take advantage of facts and actors, trends, then opportunities and threats of the outside world as well. Here, strategic options can be identified after an institutional assessment, keeping in mind the aspirants of an organization. The tool strategic options help to identify and make a preliminary screening of alternative strategic options and perspectives. So here are some of the steps listed to develop the strategic organization. So starting with assess the external context. So in terms of opportunities and threats, like for example, for environmental scan and institutional Grammy and coverage matrix or the stakeholders analysis and so on. So it mostly speaks about the external context. Then moving upon to the next one, it is the opportunities and the threats. So please make a note of the small change I've made. Yes, of course, opportunities and threats also come under the external context as well, because opportunities and threats itself are from external point of view. Okay, so moving upon to the next one, that is priorities and cluster opportunities and threats. So if you have more than 15 of each priorities, for example, it can be through voting and randomly selecting something like that. So brainstorming which opportunities and threats can be related to each other, and that it can be followed. Then moving to the next one, it is develop strategic options. So formulate strategic options that respond to one or more opportunities or the threats, or which are the actions or the results related to the output or input, and it can be even for the mission and vision of the organizations as well. So, and they are the straightforward clearly related to opportunities or the threats. So moving upon to the next one is the rate the option in terms of relevance, to note that this is the only preliminary section in the steps of options matrix and so on. So the criteria in your business option and or the mission and the aspiration of the organization should be properly put light upon each of these missions or visions statements. So follow up, implement internal organizational analysis of critical elements or strategic orientation, and the final selection of the set of strategic options is being done in this particular step. So here you're trying to select those options, whatever you have been selected for. So here I would like to put upon HR decision making as well. So making business decisions require a critical analysis of your business goals, particularly when the consequences of your decisions will have an impact on the status of employment within your organization. So outsourcing human resource functions has been a growing consideration for businesses of all sizes. So if you are planning to outsource any part of your human resources functions, be prepared to examine your business needs or current staff expertise and the expense of outsourcing versus the in-house activities. So in this place you need to consider all your budget activities and so on. So hence decision making is an act of narrowing down the possibilities and choosing a course of action and determining the problem's potential consequences. So moving upon to the next aspect of strategic option. So these are some of the steps an HR should follow during the strategic options and HR decisions. So starting with the frame the issue. So a problem here is well defined, is half solved. So saying goes very well, like a problem which is well defined or well planned is half solved. So half of your work is done when you actually understand the problem and you understand where it arised from and what is the cause. And also once you understand or once you define it well, it is like almost that you have solved the problem. So but to define the problem by itself is a problem. It's a problem sometimes. So if a problem is not properly defined, the solutions are bound to be haphazard. In most of the cases, the problem is something else than what it looks like. Sometimes the problem is something else, and sometimes we might not arise in a proper problem statement. So then we'll have to generate alternatives. So one of the best ways to solve a problem is to clearly define it in the front of your group and invite suggestions. Then agreed that many would be impractical in nature, but one good alternative will invite positive changes. So always you just be like an open book and always accept suggestions, and we don't know where one positive suggestions also will change the whole problem. So choose the best alternative after determining the potential consequences. So again, in the previous step, generating an alternative, there are so many methods in generating the alternatives or generating of ideas also. I think in some other classes we already sessions we have discussed about subsessions like brainstorming and idea generation sessions. So there are many types which you can just go through my previous sessions, and you will get more idea about generating or noting down the ideas. So moving upon to the next one, choose the best alternative after determining the potential consequences. So accept the best but still consider the rest. So this helps problem solving during contingencies. So every solution has its pros and cons. Yes, there are always pros and cons in whatever strategy you build upon. So weigh the magnitude of benefits perceived, and then you will need to take a decision. So jot down the pros and cons, and then you can come out with the proper decision. Then analytical skills. Analytical skills are the ability to visualize, articulate and solve complex problems and make decisions that make sense based on available information or available resources whatever present with us. So these are some of the steps which have to be followed during the strategic options and HR decisions. So next, some of the strategic options or HR decisions that we will be discussing in our further sessions would be downsizing and restructuring of an organization, or the domestic and international labor markets, and about the mergers and acquisitions, then outsourcing and offshoring, and something like that, which are and how they are connected to SHRM and so on. So thank you for watching my videos. So have a great day, and meet you in the next session. So thank you once again.